in the serene morning atmosphere of radiant beauty, where tranquility should have reigned supreme, Ryan, a stylist respected by all, suddenly turned a moment of trust into a nightmare of betrayal. Without warning, he grabbed Jasmine's luxurious hair. The eyes of the owner, who had been undercover as an ordinary client, met the cold cruelty of his actions, sending the entire salon into a stunned silence, filled with shock and unimaginable pain. Every second of that moment squeezed the air from the room, transforming the morning into an arena of injustice, where the art of beauty was twisted into a ruthless violation of personal boundaries. But what happened next would astonish even those who thought they had seen it all. Let's start from the beginning. Early mornings at Radiant Beauty were always a special ritual for Jasmine. It was a time when the first rays of sunlight filtered through the expansive floor-to-ceiling windows, softly illuminating an interior where every detail, from the elegant chairs to the carefully curated artwork on the walls, spoke of impeccable taste and serene luxury. With unshakable confidence and a refined eye for aesthetics, Jasmine had decided to conduct a personal experiment. Today, she would appear as a regular client to discreetly observe her team's work. She walked slowly across the polished hardwood floor, feeling the slight chill of the morning air and savoring the melodic background music, specially designed to soothe even the most discerning guests. As Jasmine settled into a plush chair in front of a large mirror, she quietly observed the scene around her. Her gaze swept over neatly arranged tools, gleaming scissors, and an array of professional hair care products, when suddenly Ryan entered the salon. This young stylist, known for his mastery and speed, always commanded attention with his confident, skillful approach. But today, something in his demeanor had shifted. His face, usually marked by focus and professionalism, momentarily twisted with an unexplainable resolve, one that hinted at something ominous. Jasmine felt a flicker of unease but couldn't immediately pinpoint the source of her discomfort. In the blink of an eye, Ryan moved toward Jasmine as if driven by a sudden impulse, and his hand, acting with unsettling swiftness, seized her thick, luxurious hair. A paralyzing silence instantly consumed the salon. Every sound, every conversation, every shuffle of movement ceased, as if the entire world had collectively held its breath. Jasmine's eyes froze in horror. Time seemed to stop, and Ryan's every movement took on an ominous edge of aggression. The scissors, once a tool of artistry, had now become a symbol of cruel disregard. This abrupt violation of her personal space sent shockwaves through Jasmine's body, flooding her with disbelief and an accelerating pulse of distress. For a moment, she felt trapped between reality and a nightmare, where every gaze from her employees, witnesses to the unfolding scene, only amplified her sense of helplessness. She struggled to process what was happening, but her mind refused to find logic in the chaos. Deep inside, she realized that the illusion of her dream salon, the very embodiment of success she had built over the years, had been shattered by a brutal intrusion on her dignity. As the cold morning sunlight shimmered against the mirror, reflecting her stunned expression, Jasmine understood. Everything she had worked for was now being put to the test, and this moment of shock would be the catalyst for a battle to reclaim justice. Justice that had to be restored at any cost. After the initial shock of feeling her personal space so ruthlessly violated, a fire of hatred ignited within Jasmine. The serenity and confidence that once filled her soul were now replaced by an overwhelming sense of deep repulsion toward Ryan, the man who had dared to so crudely invade her world. Each heartbeat echoed with pain, amplifying the searing injustice she had fought against for years in her struggle for respect and dignity. Memories flooded back. Every moment she had battled prejudice and stereotypes. Every step she had taken with unwavering determination to prove that her strength and success were anything but accidental. And now, seeing Ryan's blatant disregard, turning trust into betrayal, she realized that his actions were not just a misunderstanding. They were a symbol of outdated, oppressive mindsets that had no place in the present. A sharp, burning judgment flashed in her eyes. There was no excuse for such a cruel act, an act that had struck at the core of her identity and professional reputation. Her mind spun in a whirlwind of outrage. How could he do this? The question pulsed in her head like a relentless drumbeat, impossible to ignore. Every second she spent dwelling on it only fueled the flames of her fury, burning away the last remnants of her previous calm. In Ryan's face, she saw the embodiment of the old, toxic norms she had spent her life fighting against. His actions were not just a personal attack. They were a betrayal of everything she stood for, an insult that she could never forgive. A fierce determination awakened inside her. This hatred was not just a storm of emotions. It was the fuel for a battle she was now prepared to fight. Every breath, heavy with bitterness and disgust, reinforced her resolve. She would not let this brutality go unpunished. In that moment, Jasmine understood that her pain was transforming into a force that would fight to restore and protect the values she had built her life around. This inner storm, born from betrayal and shattered trust, became a powerful reminder that true strength lay not just in success, but in the ability to stand up to injustice. And though her heart ached, it was now ready to channel this hatred into energy that would change not just her own fate, but the fate of Radiant Beauty itself. The unbearable weight of what had happened soon reached its breaking point. Overcome by a storm of emotions, Jasmine knew that hesitation would only deepen the wounds inflicted by this outrageous violation. Stepping out of her temporary guise of anonymity, she gathered her entire team in the spacious conference room of the Salon. Now she stood before them, not just as their employer, but as a leader, a woman who had built Radiant Beauty on principles she had fought for over the years. The room was filled with a tense silence, as if every sound was holding its breath, waiting for the inevitable explosion. Her eyes burned with determination, and when she finally spoke, her voice, firm and unwavering, sliced through the air like a blade, leaving no room for compromise. "Ryan," she began, each syllable carrying the weight of a verdict, "you violated the boundaries I built with love, dedication, and hard work. Your actions weren't just a mistake. They were a desecration of our values and the trust upon which this salon stands." Her words echoed through the room, forcing every person present to feel the magnitude of the betrayal. She continued, leaving no space for doubt. "You chose the easy path of indulging your own whims at the expense of something I spent years creating. Let me make one thing clear. Radiant Beauty is a place for those who respect people and the principles that define our success." Every syllable, laced with both fury and pain, sent waves of emotion rippling through the crowd. Eyes filled with shock and concern followed her every move. The atmosphere was so thick with tension that even time itself seemed to pause. But Jasmine was not simply condemning Ryan. She was proving, with unshakable resolve, that the strength she had forged through years of battling prejudice was now burning with an unrelenting fire for justice. This was more than an emotional outburst. It was a symbolic stand, a declaration of defiance against anything that threatened her vision of perfection. In the eyes of her employees, an understanding dawned. This moment was not just about the fate of one person. It was about defining the moral character of the entire salon, ensuring that it remained a place of dignity and respect. Jasmine's rage was raw and uncompromising, and its power carried an unspoken promise. Justice would be served, no matter the cost. After the storm of anger and the painful confrontation, a moment arrived when justice prevailed, and the air once again carried the melody of hope. Gathering all her resolve and inner strength, Jasmine made an unwavering announcement. Change was inevitable. Ryan, now a symbol of gross misconduct and outdated prejudices, was fired with no chance of appeal. This decision sent a clear message. Radiant Beauty would no longer tolerate disrespect or injustice. Over the next few hours, Jasmine personally spoke with each employee, not only reflecting on the lessons of the incident, but also sharing her vision for the future, a future built on respect, honesty, and mutual support. She explained that while this experience had been painful, it was a necessary trial, one that had strengthened the team and united them in their fight against all forms of injustice. One by one, her employees felt their spirits lift, their hearts swelling with satisfaction, knowing that wrongdoing had not gone unpunished. The morning sunlight streaming through the salon's panoramic windows felt brighter that day, symbolizing a new era for Radiant Beauty. The atmosphere shifted. Cold tension gave way to a renewed sense of peace and confidence. Colleagues exchanged glances filled not only with gratitude, but with deep respect for Jasmine, the woman who had transformed pain and anger into a powerful force for change. Standing before the mirror in the salon's main hall, Jasmine allowed herself a brief moment of quiet joy. A satisfied spark gleamed in her eyes. She knew that today, justice had been restored. The space around her, now filled with soft laughter and hushed conversations, was living proof that even the most painful trials could serve as the foundation for renewal. Every wound left by cruelty and betrayal had begun to heal, replaced by a newfound belief in the power of unity and integrity. Thus, Radiant Beauty not only survived the crisis but emerged stronger than ever. This day became a symbol of true strength, the ability to stand firm in one's values and transform suffering into triumph. And the satisfaction of seeing justice restored promised a bright future for all who were willing to follow their hearts and principles.